Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and Pokemon fans of the world, Mega Crasher is here, and I bring you guys a video that features a discussion of something that is rather controversial and heavily discussed and debated in the Pokemon community, and that revolves around cheating and hacking. So basically in this video, I'm going to be going over the legal and illegal parts of cheating and what's good and what's bad about it, and I'm pretty much going to do everything I can to cover all bases on the whole topic of cheating. And I'm also going to be talking about the whole Ray Rizzo incident and just giving my neutral thoughts, and pretty much going to be right down the middle, fair and balanced for everything I'm going to be talking about. So hope you guys sit back, relax, and enjoy. And let's get to the first part of the video. So the first part of the video is pretty much just going to be a face-to-face with me and pretty much putting in my 2 cents without any biases on the whole aspect of cheating, what's legal and illegal about it, and also how it can be both good and bad for the Pokemon community and for the players. So, the definition of cheating, it would be to gain an unfair advantage in a game. So, for example, say if you were to have two trainers battle, okay? Trainer number one has fully legal, fully clean Pokemon, no things wrong with them, nothing. And Trainer B has a hacked Pokemon that, in other words, they have hacked movesets, hacked abilities, hacked stats, meaning like you could either have 999s in all your stats, or you could have 252 EVs in all of your stats as well. And by the way, the maximum EV limit per Pokemon is 510. So if you go over that limit, then by technicality, your Pokemon is in fact hacked. So if the trainer doesn't know that the trainer that they're facing off against happens to have a hacked Pokemon, well, by default, that is not only unfair, but you are in fact cheating. Now, the only exception to that is, say, if they were two friends and they know that each other has a hacked Pokemon or something like that. Just for a good time, just to try something out, all that stuff. So, with that, if you know that your friend has a hacked Pokemon and you guys are doing it just for fun, you're not hurting anybody or anything or whatever, there's nothing wrong with that. Good old fun between friends, just mixing together some random Pokemon, some random abilities, and all that good stuff. That's why they have the tier Balanced Hack Bonds on Pokemon Showdown, which is actually a pretty funny tier. I mean, there's a lot of crazy stuff that goes on there. But that's not about that. Let's stay on topic here. So, the thing about hacking and cheating is that it's so controversial and so split right down the middle in the Pokemon community, because there's some people that don't think that there's anything wrong with cheating legally, and then there's some people that absolutely detest it. Like, they will not touch a device that modifies their Pokemon or anything like that. And you know what? Like, both sides are fair to their opinion. I can also sympathize and respect where the purists come from. Now, hear me out on this, because I actually used to do it their way myself. Back when X and Y came out, my Pokemon Y cartridge literally has thousands and thousands and thousands of hours logged into it just from breeding Pokemon. And it took me a long time to breed a perfect team. So, I mean, I can understand, you got people that would prefer to breed their Pokemon for their EVs and IVs and their moves and all that stuff. That's totally respectable. And then say you got someone that comes along and pretty much slaps those efforts in the face and uses a device and can do the equivalent of thousands and thousands of hours of work for person A in a matter of minutes. I can understand how that would be upsetting, and that would be very anger-provoking, because there's people out there that, like I said, despise cheating, and they feel that if you have to use an external device to not only modify but to create Pokemon as if they were legally bred, I can understand where they're coming from, how there would be some frustrations there. However, that technically isn't cheating, and here's why. Because if your Pokemon are created illegally, in other words, you cannot tell the difference between a purebred Pokemon and a created Pokemon, everything's legal about it. If you can't tell the difference, then what's the problem there? I mean, again, I can understand that the whole time thing would be an issue because you got person A who spends thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of hours, and it takes them weeks, months to breed for it an entire box of purebred Pokemon with 5, 6 IVs, all that stuff. And they do everything cleanly. They have all their EV training done through super training or through horde battles. Um, and they breed moves on them through other Pokemon, all that stuff. And then all of a sudden you got the other person with access to, say, PK Hex that can take the equivalent of thousands and thousands of hours of work, and within a few minutes at the fingertips, the summary of that work is pretty much right there. Done. Um, I mean, I'm not going to really side with either side. I think that, like, it is a big slap in the face for the person that chooses to pure breed their Pokemon and doesn't want to have anything to do with third-party software or anything like that. That's totally respectable. Um, I will say, though, you got to have a lot of free time on your hands to be able to do that. And there's a lot of people out there that don't have that kind of luxury. They don't have that kind of free time. They have jobs, they have lives outside of Pokemon. Like you could have a full 40 hours a week time job. You could have, family to take care of, a house to keep, kids and all that stuff. I mean, for me, I still live at home. And I have a 48 hours a week full-time job. 12 hours a day, and it gets pretty exhausting. I mean, yeah, I have 4 days on, 4 days off, but in those 4 days off, do you think I'm gonna want to like spend all that time breeding for Pokemon? Probably not, because a lot of that time I'm going to be spent on sleeping or going to the gym or making videos like this for you guys. Which, by the way, I hardly ever play Pokemon on my 3DS anymore, but when I was extremely, extremely dedicated, I would spend so many hours that I would actually sacrifice sleep, and it was affecting my health. That wasn't good for me. So, you definitely shouldn't push yourself if it's going to be affecting your health. Like, if you're going to be spending thousands and thousands of hours into a game and all that stuff, like, that's good on you. All the props to you. But don't do it to the point where it affects your health, because that wouldn't be good. That's not a very smart idea. Um, but anyways, getting back on topic here. A lot of people will use the time as a defense mechanism to justify hacking Pokemon, whether it be legal or illegal, into their games. And there's good and bad things about it, and I'm going to do my best to stay right down the middle and go over them. So, the good things about it is that you really don't have to worry about wasting too much of your time or spending a lot of time on trying to breed for Pokemon, when really you can just create Pokemon in the snap of a fingers and just be all good to go. And as long as your Pokemon are legal, then, you'd be thinking, where's the harm in that? I mean, the thing of it is, you cut back so much time, and you have all this free time that you could actually use to familiarize yourself with the team that you created, and get good that way. And I mean, that's another justification for some people for when it comes to creating legal Pokemon, is because they want to create a team, get familiar with it, so that way they can get good. But then there's also the Pokemon Showdown on the Smogon website that does exactly that. You can create a team online and practice with that as well. But anyways, here's another example. So you got two people, okay? You got two brothers. Person A, he walks to school, and it takes him 20 minutes. Person B, he bikes to school. Takes him, say, 5 minutes. The way I see it is, in that situation, would you really call it cheating if you're not going to be abusing the third-party software to try and gain an unfair advantage? No, because as long as you keep your Pokemon hacked, then you literally cannot tell the difference between a Pokemon that is purebred and a Pokemon that is cleanly generated. And by cleanly, I'm talking about legal abilities, legal natures, legal movesets, EV spreads, and all that stuff. Um, like I said, if you have a Pokemon that you generated that has an illegal ability or illegal moves, well, then that's a hacked Pokemon, and you technically would be cheating because you are going outside of their legal parameters to create a Pokemon that doesn't technically exist. And another problem with the whole cheating thing. Um, Now, I've only heard stories about this a few times, so I do apologize if either I misquote or I misspeak on something like this. But CyberSave. CyberSave is a device that allows for you to actually um, hack your save files within the game, and you can actually give your Pokemon items that either normally they wouldn't have. So say, for example, like, okay, here's a perfect example right here. Um, Pokemon that don't have Mega Evolutions. You could actually create a Mega Stone for that Pokemon and give them a Mega Evolution. That is potential to cause crashing for your game. And say if you were to pull that kind of stuff on BattleSpot, and someone that had no idea what kind of a trainer that you were or what kind of Pokemon that you had, they just want to go on there, for kicks and all that stuff, just to mess around, have some battles. And they don't know that you have a Mega Milotic or a Mega Flygon, right? And what happens is when they encounter stuff like that, it could potentially freeze and crash their game, and maybe even worse yet, lose their save file. And that right there would cause a lot of frustrations, because if they lost their save file, that's potentially thousands and thousands of hours of work down the drain. And that's not okay. And that right there is where I myself would put my foot down and say, look, that's not okay. That is not cool whatsoever. You can't be doing that. I mean, sure, if you want to do it in the privacy of your own save file and not affect any trainers around you, just to have fun or whatever, that's your thing. Do your thing. But don't bring your illegal hacking onto other people's platforms where it could potentially be hazardous to their game, right? Um, so I mean, the whole thing about cheating and hacking, so controversial, so split down the middle in the Pokemon community. There's like half people that don't have a problem with it, and then there's the other half that are like, oh no, man, like we don't want anything to do with that. That's disgusting. Screw that. All that stuff. And like I said before, both sides bring up valid arguments, but I can't say that either side is more correct than the other, because, like I said, both sides bring up really good points on the side of the purists, the people that choose not to tamper with third-party software. They're doing everything clean, they're doing everything without any hitches, and all their items, all their stats, their moves, and Pokemon are completely legal, completely purebred. Nothing wrong with that. All the power to you guys. Um, and they would sacrifice thousands and thousands and thousands of hours just to breed for those kind of Pokemon. I mean, take it from someone who actually has experience doing that myself. I mean, my God. If you take a look at my Pokemon X cartridge, I mean, if I was to show you guys, I don't have it with me right now, but you would see that the save file is almost 3 years old, and I have, the game time limit goes up to 999 hours and 59 minutes, but I would clearly break through that, because I broke through that, I think, like 2 years ago, because I spent so much time and so many hours on the Pokemon game. So, effectively speaking, I've spent thousands and thousands of hours in that game just from breeding. So from a personal standpoint, from experience, I can completely understand where people that choose to purebred their Pokemon are coming from, and how it would potentially be a slap in the face to come across someone that takes all your thousands and thousands of hours of hard work equivalently and sum it up within a matter of minutes, you know? Taking all those boxes of Pokemon, just simply programming them into an application, editing them, cloning them, all that stuff, and there you go. That's it. Now, on the other hand, you do have the people that do bring up legitimate points. And by the other people, I'm talking about the people that choose to cheat or hack, whether it be legal or illegal. Let's defend the people that choose to legally hack, because you really can't defend the ones that are choosing to go other ways to illegally hack and mess around with people. Now, I mean, obviously, you know, if your friends know that you're doing it and you're doing it just for fun, perfectly fine, perfectly okay, you know, whatever, that's totally fine. But let's go back to the people that choose to do it legally. Okay, so time would be a very, very big issue if these people didn't have access to those third-party softwares. But, you know, let's say if they didn't, you know, they would have a hell of a time trying to breed for Pokemon for thousands and thousands of hours when they potentially have lives outside of Pokemon, you know, full-time jobs, you know, looking after their kids, looking after their families, keeping the house clean, all that stuff. You know, and it's completely sympathetic and understanding where they're coming from. I can't say that I have experiences with all of those because, you know, I'm not living on my own. I don't have any kids. So, I mean, other than me working 48 hours a week, that's really the only thing that I have in common with people that have lives outside of Pokemon. Well, working 48 hours a week and going to the gym religiously, like 5, 6 times a week, and I'm spending about 2 hours there minimum every workout, right? And it does take a lot of time once it adds up. So, and then you also got to factor in sleep and other social activities because, you know, obviously you'd want to have a social life outside of all that stuff, right? And outside of Pokemon. Um, so, time. Time would be cut back so much if these people had access to those third-party softwares and devices. And as long as they don't cheat, in other words, they don't illegally hack Pokemon, to which they have illegal abilities, illegal movesets, you know, 999s in all their stats, or 252 EVs in all their stats, it's perfectly fine. I mean, sure, it's frowned upon still by the purists, but, you know, to each their own, right? And that's pretty much it, you know? Like, it all boils down to your perspective. You know, are you open-minded? Do you understand both sides of the arguments? I would certainly hope that I do, but, you know, if there are things that I don't yet understand, you know, please let me know, and I will be sure to think about it and have my mind being opened up even more. But I'm always open to criticisms. I'm always open to learning new things. Um, and I think that if some people have that sort of mentality, if some people are willing to understand and accept that not everything is as it should be, that, you know, there are conditions, there are exceptions, and, you know, there's people that have different perspectives in the Pokemon community. And as long as those perspectives aren't hurting people, and as long as, you know, what you're doing isn't hurting people, you know, you're not creating illegal Pokemon to cheat your way to victory in some sort of half-assed tournament or something like that. Now, something like VGC, you know, official tournaments, they frown upon that stuff. Like, if you are caught with Pokemon that are tampered with by third-party software, you will be disqualified. And I can understand completely where they come from on that. But with that being said, I am going to conclude the first part of this video right here. I've rambled on for quite a bit of time, almost 20 minutes already. We're not even through part 1 yet. So with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed. Stay tuned for part 2. So in part 2 of this video, I am going to be touching base on the whole Dream Ball Aegislash incident from Ray Rizzo. Now, I do want to apologize in advance if I'm not 100% knowledgeable of this situation. I don't know 100% of the details on this, but I'm going to try my best to keep everything as factual and as on point and right down the middle as possible. So what I have here is the article that kind of actually talks about the whole Ray Rizzo VGC incident. So if we just can go ahead and scroll down here a little bit. Sorry if my computer lags a bit. Okay, so the issue. So what is the issue mentioned in the introduction? Excuse me. In early July, an official VGC event was held in the U.S. in Indianapolis, Indiana. A stream of the event was hosted so people could watch battles over the internet. During the stream, a battle started involving a player named Ray Rizzo. Besides being an arguably snazzy name, that alliteration. And I mean, it actually is really snazzy. Ray Rizzo. That's like a celebrity name. Just saying. But anyways, the name is actually rather large in the VGC and Pokemon scene. After all, he won the Pokemon World Video Game Championships 3 times within the last 5 years. Now, that, objectively speaking, that is no small achievement. Like, that is insane. I mean, to be called a 3-time VGC World Champion, that's insane. And, anyway, so you see right here, let's just scroll down to the image. So you see right here, of the exact moment where Aegislash comes out of his Pokeball, you see that it is of a pink aura. And you would think that, okay, well, I mean, it's like, the Pokeballs would be pretty much the last thing you would focus on when it comes to the legality of the Pokemon. I mean, when you do your legal checks, you don't think about checking the Pokeball. You would think about checking things like the stats, like the movesets, the abilities, and all that stuff, to make sure that the legitimacy of the Pokemon is complete, right? So, let's go ahead and just keep reading here. So, now officials at these events do at times check the legality of Pokemon used. That is, whether they are hacked, particularly to have impossible stats or moves that would give the player an unfair advantage. But they missed this event, which occurred the moment Ray Rizzo sent out his Pokemon in Aegislash. So, it's actually noted down here that his Aegislash, although was in a Dream Ball, which, by the way, if we can go right here to the Pokeballs, that's the Dream Ball right here, and that is a Pokeball that is exclusive to 5th generation only. Now, Aegislash is a 6th generation Pokemon, so it would be impossible for an Aegislash to have a Dream Ball, right? So, we gotta think, what is going on here? Is this possibly a hacked Aegislash? And the thing of it is although the stats are legal and everything else about it is legal, technically speaking, the Aegislash is in fact hacked. That is entirely fact without any form of biases, because, you know, if you have a Pokemon, say for example, okay, say you have a starter Pokemon, like, I don't know, a Charmander, and you put it in a Cherish Ball. Cherish Balls are for events. Now, of course, if that Pokemon specifically is not an event, everything else could be legal. You know, you could have your movesets, your abilities, EV spreads, all that stuff be legal. But if it's in a Pokeball that is not legally capable of having that said Pokemon, then it is technically illegal. It is technically hacked. So there's not really any argument there. So the fact that this is going on, you would think, okay, what's going on here? Like, does Ray Rizzo not understand the difference, or understand that Aegislash cannot legally be in a Dream Ball, considering that it didn't exist until 6th generation, and 5th generation only had access to the Dream Ball, not any other generation. Now, of course, you would think that him being a 3-time VGC World Champion, he would be able to see something like that, right? But the thing of it is when you think about VGC, you really don't think about checking the Pokeballs as being top priority, right? So, I mean, it can be completely understood if, you know, either he slept on it or, you know, he didn't realize it or whatever. I mean, it happens, you know, we're all human, we all make mistakes. Doesn't mean that you can use that as an excuse to justify your mistakes, but they happen, right? So, let me just scroll down here just tiny little bit of it. Okay. So it says right down here in 2.1, the use of external devices to modify or create items or Pokemon in a player's party is expressly forbidden. So this right here is VGC official rules right here stating that any Pokemon that has been tampered with through a third-party software device will in fact be disqualified, whether the Pokemon is said to be traded to them from a trainer that hacked the Pokemon. So I mean, for all Ray know, like he could have that Aegislash traded to him, right? He could have it traded to him, um, and the trainer of that Pokemon originally could have hacked that Pokemon. And I mean, it's completely reasonable, but the thing of it is it's kind of like a zero tolerance for that sort of thing to happen in VGC, because if you're to make it that far in VGC, you know, they would expect for you to have that basic responsibility for your Pokemon and to make sure that, you know, you have the ability to check the legality of your Pokemon to see whether it is legitimate or not. And you would think that, again, like with Ray being experienced with Pokemon and him, you know, being a VGC world champion, that he would, in fact, know better and to check to make sure that every aspect of every Pokemon he uses is, in fact, legitimate. Um, Now, of course, the thing of it is that his Aegislash, although it was in a Dream Ball, was not hacked statistically because of the fact that it had legal moves, it had a legal spread, legal natures, and all that stuff. And the way that I see it, um, having it in a Pokeball, although illegally, in a Dream Ball, it does not enhance the performance of that Pokemon in any way, shape, and form other than maybe aesthetically, because, I mean, having a Ghost Sword come out in a pink aura, I mean, damn, that's kind of awesome. You would think that'd be awesome. But again, you know, you're in a VGC World Championships. You're in a very serious environment, and you've got to make sure that all of your Pokemon are, in fact, in tip-top condition. Make sure that, you know, you have a basic knowledge of your Pokemon, and to make sure that all of your Pokemon are in fact safe for the competition. You got to make sure that they are in no way, shape, and form hacked. And, you know, in this situation right here is a little slip up, and you would think that, okay, it's not that big a deal, but I mean, when this came out, it blew way out of proportion. So, what is the big deal with this? Naturally, something like this draws different opinions. If Ray used a hacked Pokemon that had better stats than possible or the such, then it would be clear-cut he cheated to gain an unfair advantage. End of story. Now, however, the only thing that sets this Aegislash apart from any others is that it had a differently colored Pokeball. Something that would hardly be able to decide the outcome. In fact, there's no hardly about it. It would not decide the outcome whatsoever, because a Pokeball, like I said, does not enhance the competitive aspect of that Pokemon. And that is in defense of this incident, because that's entirely fact. You know, like I said, you know, you could have a Cherish Ball Charmander, or, you know, in this case, a Dream Ball Aegislash. The thing of it is that unless, of course, the stats or the move sets were hacked, you literally can't tell the difference between two Aegislash that are both legally bred, other than the fact that one has an illegal Pokeball while the other may not, right? Um, Now, something else that could have happened here is, like, Ray could have gotten a hacked Aegislash to begin with, maybe without knowing that it was in a Dream Ball. Maybe it was a female Aegislash, because the females of bred Pokemon pass down the Pokeball. So the original Aegislash could have been a female, and, you know, have it bred with Ditto, and then he got the Aegislash that he wanted, right? He got the Aegislash that he wanted, but the thing of it is that that Pokeball, that Dream Ball Pokeball, was passed down to that Aegislash that he used. And you would think that because, oh, well, you know, like, I bred my Pokemon fairly, so therefore it's legal. Well, the thing of it is while that may be, that may seem like that would be 100% correct, you still got to make sure to check everything about that Pokemon to make sure that nothing about it has been tampered with. Like, even if you bred it yourself, if you notice that it is in an illegal Pokeball, you got to do something about it. You got to make sure that that Pokemon is safe for competing. You know what I mean? Because any judge who saw something like that, and if they paid attention to detail and saw something like that, you would be disqualified right off the bat. I would think, because, hey, because that is a Dream Ball Aegislash, then therefore that Pokemon is hacked. We don't allow hacked Pokemon. Get out, kind of thing. Um, but of course it was missed, and the thing of it is like, on one end you would think that's a big thing to miss. Having a Dream Ball Aegislash is a clear indication that this Pokemon was in fact hacked. Like, we can't have that. But on the other hand, if you pay attention to the other details and see that the Pokemon in every other way is in fact legal. Say if it was like, move sets, abilities, stats, all that stuff, everything else about it is legal. Just that one little speck, being the Dream Ball Aegislash, being illegal, you would think, okay, no harm, no foul. I mean, like, yeah, it's in a messed up Pokeball. It's in an illegal Pokeball. But Pokeballs don't enhance the competitiveness in that Pokemon. It doesn't make it any better than any other Aegislash or any species. You know what I mean? So let's go ahead and keep reading down here. So he may also have just bred his Pokemon from a parent hacked Aegislash. So in a sense, people may say this one is legit. And in fact, like, see right here, you see right here in green, it says, and in fact, Ray later claimed he got a Dream Ball Aegislash from a trade and hadn't realized until it was too late, and he would have stopped using the Pokemon as well. So, okay, so I mean, it goes back to us being human. It goes back to us, making mistakes. We all make mistakes. We're not God. We're not, a deity or anything like that. We're not perfectionists. We're not, or I shouldn't say perfectionists, because there's people out there that are perfectionists, but even they're not perfect. And that statement right there, he even said that if he was to realize it before it was too late, he would not have used that Pokemon. So, I mean, you gotta understand that, I mean, people slip things by the eye. People miss things all the time. Hell, I miss things all the time myself, Like, it goes back to paying attention to detail. I mean, had he have seen it, had he have paid attention to that little bit of detail, he wouldn't have used that Pokemon. End of story. But, of course, it slipped his mind. It slipped his eye. It happens. But the thing of it is that the Aegislash, other than it being an illegal Pokeball, was, in fact, legal competitive-wise. Because, like I said, if you break down the competitive aspects of that Aegislash, it had legal movesets, had legal stats, legal abilities, everything, legal items, all of it. All of it, competitive-wise, perfectly legal, perfectly fine. Right? And let's not beat around the bush. A lot of people this generation still breed from hacked perfect 6IV Dittos that beat the Pokebank's problematic hack check. So, I mean, right here, if we're going to be throwing around accusations and saying that well, there's no accusations about it, it's entirely fact. I mean, Dream Ball Aegislash is in fact illegal combined together. But let's take a step back and let's analyze this. So, you got people who breed from 6IV Dittos, and whether they be hacked or not, the thing of it is you're still breeding. Okay, well, let's just say that the Ditto is hacked. You're still breeding, technically speaking, from a hacked parent Pokemon. So, in essence, would you be saying the same thing if people bred something that looked completely legal, completely fine, but they bred it from a 6IV hacked Ditto? Would you be saying the same thing? Probably not, because no one ever complains or talks about it. It's like, oh, well, like, there's nothing aesthetically wrong with my Pokemon. There's nothing legally wrong with my Pokemon. Therefore, it's perfectly legal. But you bred it from a hacked Ditto. So, I mean, which is really the lesser of two evils? You know what I mean? I mean, sure, it showed from the female Aegislash that it had a Dream Ball, which is visually illegal if you pay attention to the details. But whether it be visual details or not, they're still one and the same. You're still breeding from hacked Pokemon, So I don't hear a lot of people arguing about breeding from hacked Dittos and making a big stink up about that. But that's just because that if as long as the Pokemon is legal competitively and there's nothing wrong with it aesthetically, then it's legal. It would be deemed legal. It would be if you were to be found tampering with the Pokemon, and say if you were to implement an incorrect detail of the Pokemon, say where you met it, or incorrect moves or whatever, then that Pokemon would be found to be illegal and therefore hacked and disqualified. You would be disqualified. Um, so with that being said, I believe I spent enough time on that topic. Let's just go down here a little bit. So, we have right here actually a screenshot of I believe it's a Skype conversation, excuse me, with Ray, and he says right here, "I'm totally getting a power save." Now, I'm not sure if he was joking or being sarcastic, but I mean, let's be honest though, like for a VGC World Champion like that joke was in a little bit of bad taste because it could definitely be taken out of context from anybody who may not have looked into it enough to say, oh, well, maybe he's just being sarcastic, maybe he's just joking. Um, people joke all the time, right? You may not say the most correct things, you may not be mindful about it, but it happens. And maybe, in this situation, it's no different. Maybe in this situation, he's just joking. Or maybe he's being completely serious, right? Maybe he has a power save, and he's, doing up all his Pokemon that way, and no one knows about it. You know what I mean? But either way, it's very, very open to interpretation. It's very, very open to discussion and all that stuff. I'm not going to take sides. I'm not going to confirm or deny whether he was joking or not. So, yeah. With that being said, let's go down here a little bit. Think that might be, yeah, it's like towards the end, but I'm gonna touch on this a little bit more, and then I'm gonna move on to the next part here. Uh, Sorry about that. So yes, there is a big difference between an impossible spread, actually illegal stats, and dumb crap like an impossible Pokeball. And that is entirely true, but at the same time, it's still all lumped together in one. Um, Whether it be a completely stupid difference or not, you gotta take everything into consideration. I mean, like having okay, so for example, say if you were to have an event Pokemon, completely legal, completely fine. But event Pokemon can't be nicknamed. If you nickname your event Pokemon, then that is technically a hacked Pokemon, right? I mean, if you even if it doesn't affect the performance of the Pokemon, it's still deemed, technically speaking, to be hacked. So, with that being said, anyways, let's move on. People can decide whether they want to put their own neurotic line of what shouldn't be allowed, but it seems pretty clear that on the TPCI's end, that line is illegal stats or the Pokemon itself has been shown obviously enough sign to be modified. Really sick of the other fan sites full of players who have basically zero knowledge of VGC stirring crap in these events about stuff like this. It was a problem that needed to be solved. If this was a problem that needed to be solved, it would be. So, obviously, like, from this response and from the way that things are going, this is obviously blown out of proportion. But the thing of it is, you could say that it's wrongfully blown out of proportion out of some perspectives, but then you got some that say, well, this is completely justified, that this, is blown out of proportion for the right reasons because, hey, this is a 3-time VGC World Champion. Hey, he's got a Dream Ball Aegislash. Hey, his Pokemon might be hacked. We need to eat that up. We need to get our mitts on that and milk it out like it's no one's business. Here's the thing, guys. Mistakes happen. And again, I'm not going to justify Ray Rizzo's mistake, but I'm also not going to take a dump on him either. I mean, from an aesthetic standpoint, it may have looked like that his Aegislash was hacked, and in fact, it looked like it was, because even if he bred, like I said, he bred it from a hacked Aegislash parent. So you would think that technically speaking, the offspring would not be hacked. But the thing of it is that if the Pokeball is passed down, the illegal Pokeball is passed down, then technically speaking, that Pokemon is still hacked. But, like I said, the Pokeball does not make a lick of difference competitively. It doesn't enhance the Pokemon in any way, shape, and form other than maybe looks-wise. That's it. End of story, nothing. So let's see here. I do apologize if my computer's lagging, if I'm a little bit slow and all that stuff. Uh, This is taking a lot out of me to make a video here, but I'm doing this because I feel it needs to be done. Um, but let's see. Okay, so one can argue that this isn't a particularly strong argument these days, though. In Generation 3, when things about EV's effort values were not documented, there was only one real way to EV train that involved beating up specific Pokemon a number of times to the exact stats you wanted, it would be a bother. But nowadays, we have the likes of Horde Belts speed up that method, coupled with powered items, and a more common Pokerus, meaning a virus, thanks to the likes of GTS. I mean, it's a lot easier to EV train your Pokemon nowadays, but still, it takes time. Same with breeding. The mechanics, hell of a lot easier, but the problem is, it still takes time. And a lot of this time is an element that a lot of people don't exactly have an abundance of. Now, again, not going to use this as an excuse, but it's entirely fact that not everyone is going to have all the time in the world, or even half the time in the world, to sit down and patiently breed out Pokemon that could take, well, that will take hours and hours and hours, maybe even days and weeks. And that's time that some of us can't afford to be wasting because, if you're a student, you have exams to study for. If you are someone that works a full-time job or, two jobs and all that stuff, taking care of kids, taking care of families, all that, then time is truly of the essence. How are you going to use that time? You know what I mean? So let's go ahead and move on here. And there's now Super Training, an acknowledgement by Game Freak of the competitive community by implementing a whole minigame to allow for easier EV training. Pokeballs can be used to buy rare candies. A minimum of level 50 is far easier to reach than level 100 to. Breeding, meanwhile, has become far more manageable this generation, which is entirely fact. Nowadays, legitimate 5 and 6 IV Pokemon are far easier to get thanks to the numerous breeding mechanics introduced in every generation. But people in general are lazy, and saving time is always a temptation. Okay. I'm not exactly going to argue that point. There's a lot of people that say, I can do this, and why can't you? It's like, well, that's your choice. It all boils down to choice. You choose to spend the thousands and thousands of hours for breeding Pokemon, while other people choose to use quicker and potentially legal methods. And I say potentially because these third-party softwares can very easily be exploited and abused. And that part's not okay. So let's go ahead and move on here a little bit. As for Ray Rizzo, the beef some people have with this whole issue has nothing to do with him being a world champion of the official competitions 3 times no less. Sure, his Pokemon had only a differently colored Pokemon. As far as we know, his other Pokemon had legal stats. Excuse me. They were just made and trained quickly via external devices. But that's not a very good example for a champion to make, especially in the face of such rules, and also admittedly a bit of a silly mistake by him not to notice the different Pokeball. He could have used a hacked Aegislash parent and didn't have the Dream Ball, and nobody would have talked about this in the first place. That is entirely true. If you have a 100% pure created legal Pokemon that has no difference, no trace of hacked whatsoever, no one would put up a stink about it. But things like that happen, and people put up a stink about that, but you can't tell the difference between a legally hacked, clean 100% Pokemon and a purebred, clean, legal 100% Pokemon. You literally can't tell the difference other than the fact that it took a lot less time to create that Pokemon. So, pretty much, this whole thing is, where do you guys stand on this? For me, where do I stand on this? Unbiased, nothing without taking any sides. I think it is a misunderstanding. I think that it honestly was a mistake that could have been avoided. But I think if people really looked deep enough into this, then people would understand that, hey, this may be a hacked Pokemon, but let's check, put this Pokemon under a microscope, and let's check out what's happening here. Okay, so it's in a Dream Ball, therefore, it's technically hacked. But let's take a look at the stats. Okay, everything else is fine. Just that the whole the Aegislash being in the Dream Ball is a little bit of a funny mistake, and you would think that Ray, being a three-time world champion, would have noticed that, right? He would have noticed that. Um, However, things like that can, in fact, slip the human mind. That's entirely fact. Like, people's minds slip all the time. People, don't pay attention to detail or pay attention to little things like that because it's like, you know, things like that, details like that may not be important from a competitive aspect. You know what I mean? So, I think honestly, this whole thing got blown up way out of proportion. Um, However, given the fact that Ray is in fact a three-time world champion, uh, it was understandable to some extent because it's like, hey, like this ain't no ordinary Joe Schmo walking off the streets into the VGC. This is a three-time world champion, so you would think he'd be able to pay attention to detail like that. But at the end of the day, like I said, we're all human. We all make mistakes. We all, slip details. We all, don't pay attention to small things like that. And it, it happens. It happens. So, does he deserve to have the heat that he's having on right now from a certain individual? Absolutely not. I think it's okay to discuss and to say, hey, like what's going on here? Like what happened? That's entirely fine. Discussions are always good. But you don't need to attack somebody for a mistake, because that right there makes you not any better of a person than the person that made the mistake to begin with. And why am I saying all this? Why am I bringing all this up? Well, stay tuned for part 3. Okay, guys, so welcome to part 3, and I'm going to try and keep this as short as possible, because we're already well over the 45-minute mark. I did not intend for this video to be this long, but I guess when you are going into in-depth lengths to try and talk about everything that there is about a controversial and very heavily debated topic like cheating, sometimes you get carried away and forget about the time and all that stuff. But anyways, I'm going to try and keep this part as short and to the point as possible. So this part 3 is to pretty much address a recent controversy that has cropped up in the Pokemon community, at least as far as Verlisify goes. Now, as much as I've had problems with this individual, I'm not going to have any biases for or against Verlisify. So if you guys are expecting me to rip into him and bash him, I'm sorry to disappoint you, but that wouldn't be professional of me, and I want to keep to that. I want to keep to my word to you guys. As I have alluded to previously, that, it's going to be strictly about the topic at hand. But this, I feel, has something to do with the topic at hand, because we take a look right here. Cheater. Okay, so Verlisify is labeling Ray Rizzo as a cheater. And we even have this video right here that I have right here. The Pokemon Company is a joke. So he's basically insulting the Pokemon Company, calling them a joke. Why? Because the Pokemon Company has allowed quote-unquote cheater Ray Rizzo an official position with Pokemon. So what kind of a position is he exactly referring to? Well, the thing of it is that Ray Rizzo was offered a position to be an announcer, a commentator for the VGC event. So here's the thing. It's like, it's a commentary position. You are sitting behind a booth, and you are calling the matches as they progress. Like, it's not like he's battling. It's not like he's partaking in the VGC tournament. He's announcing the battles, and that in itself is pretty awesome. I mean, I would love to be an announcer. I would love to get that hype train going. But here's the thing. It's funny how this individual has it out for Ray Rizzo. And the thing of it is, why does he have it out for him exactly? Is it because of the fact that he had the Dream Ball Aegislash, which stirred up so much controversy at the time of that incident? Or is there something else? I'm not entirely sure. I mean, I know that he has had issues with Scott Glaza in the past, which is a Pokemon Company representative. But it's so weird because with this individual, he's a purist. I respect purism. I mean, if you are so clean to the game that you do not want to have anything to do with third-party software, to tamper with anything to do with your game, Pokemon, save files, anything, I completely respect that. But the way that this individual goes about it is it's almost like he's coming off as an elitist because um, you can tell by the tone in the voice of his videos, as well as some of the stuff that he says and how it's labeled. It's almost like he's trying to secretly say that he's better than you. And that's the kind of attitudes that the Pokemon community does not want to have. You know, the Pokemon community, to some people, has a pretty bad enough reputation as it is. And to have somebody who has, let me just scroll down here a little bit. Not sure if I can highlight this. Oh, I can actually. This individual has over 170,000 people subscribed to him, okay? That's a lot of people to be watching a single channel. But, I mean, hey, look at PewDiePie. Over 40 million. But anyways, not going to compare anybody. The thing of it is, he has a lot of people watching him, and therefore, by default, you have a responsibility to watch what you say. You know, if you come off the wrong way, you know, you got these people that, you know, would pretty much take everything you say as religion, and either hang on to your every word and believe everything you say, or, even worse, they will try and either imitate that, or pretty much act the way that this individual does, and pretty much take a dump on anybody that chooses to either hack legally, or, you know, if they don't play the way that this person plays. I mean, Verlisify infamously has a beef with Smogon, and that's what pretty much got him kickstarted into fame to begin with, was that video that where he made that Smogon rules are not official or competitive. But that's not about that. The thing of it is that, you know, let's be honest here. Verlisify makes his living off of Pokemon content, and that's very respectable. You know, he does arguably make, well, not arguably, he makes really good videos to some extent. I mean, you know, there are people that don't like him that still watch his stuff. I mean, a lot of his set videos, a lot of his top tens and random videos, they're pretty entertaining. It's just like, wow, you know, that's thinking outside the box. You know, I respect that so much, and you know, that's a lot of what he has going for him. But a lot of other things that he's got that go against him is all this controversy that he either intentionally or unintentionally starts. Now, this right here, this title right here, I mean, it's pretty hard to tell 100% at face value, but if we look into it, I mean, if you watch the video and you look at this title, you can tell that this person obviously is trying to strike a few nerves, is trying to start some sort of conflict, start up some sort of stink about something. Like, it could be about anything. And you can tell by the like to dislike ratio that this video is heavily disliked. I mean, it has almost as many likes as it does dislikes. I mean, it's crazy. And the thing of it is from this video alone, he lost 500 people subscribed to him. Like, his subscriber count went down noticeably. And, you know, for him, that might not matter, okay? It might not matter because, you know, hey, like, he's got over 170,000 people watching him, you know. Who cares? Who cares if 500 people decide to unsubscribe me out of my community? You know, they're just 500 people. But except that's the kind of attitude that will actually get you hated even more, is because you need to take care of your subscribers, okay? They are the ones that have the hands that feed you, okay? It's because of the high amount of people that watch your content that generate ad revenue for you, that allow for you to make a living off of your content. You know, it's because of the people subscribed to you. And that goes for everybody. It's because of the people subscribed that provide opportunities on the internet, on YouTube, that provide, you know, funding, that provide, you know, partnerships and all that stuff. I mean, for me, it's like, I would be forever grateful to have things like that. And I know that one day, I may or may not have that sort of opportunity. Who knows? Maybe. But the point I'm trying to make is, you need to be good to your subscribers. You need to be good to the people that, you know, decide that they want to subscribe to your channel and pretty much, you know, be a part of your community. And, you know, that's the way that I feel. You know, in comparison to you, you know, obviously I'm just a little blip on the radar, you know? and you are the radar itself. But, you know, at the end of the day, we're people, just like our subscribers, just like our friends, all that stuff. And like I said, you got to take into consideration the feelings of your subscribers. For me, I made 2 videos to pretty much ask for help and also explain what was going on. And in order for me to be safe enough to make this video itself, because it is going to contain a little bit of potential controversy and conflict, which is something I don't want to have on our channel and community. But it seems to me that this is the kind of stuff that you generate, and the kind of stuff that you pretty much live to generate, because it's like, you know, and you know, this is a noticeable pattern, because when you create controversies, ratings and everything for you spike up. Everybody's talking about you, and therefore it generates more views and more ad revenue and translation. So the way I see it is, the thing is, I've had personal problems with you before, no doubt about it. I mean, you go back to my old channel, Mega Masher, and you'll see a few videos documenting your bad behaviors and all that stuff. Thing of it is, I'm past that. Yeah, you know, I've had a personal beef with you in the past, but I'm over it. Hence why you don't see me cursing up a storm at you and all that stuff, because life is too short, and I don't care at this point. But this part of the video here is to pretty much highlight a pure example of how elitism can ruin a community, how things like extremism in a way, because when you go to a point to make a video to go out of your way and not only bash on the Pokemon company, but to also bash on a 3-time world champion, for what? All because he had a Dream Ball Aegislash, in which everything else about that Pokemon was perfectly legal. I mean, I'm not sure if there's any personal animosity between you and him, or I don't know. I mean, maybe that's just something you decide to create just for the hell of it, just for giggles and all that stuff, just for, you know, whatever, for views, attention, I don't know. But if we scroll down to the comments here, and these right here, okay, I will say that when it comes to toxicity and stuff like that, like, see, you talk about how you're trying to get away from that, but the ironic thing about this is the very attitude and the very thing that you preach is actually what's causing the toxicity and all that stuff, because of videos like this. You know, you say one thing and then you turn around and do something that kind of contradicts that. But you see, that's only part of the problem. If we scroll down here, let me just scroll down. There was this one comment in particular that really stuck out. Yes, from Rising Tide, and funny enough, I respect Rising Tide because he's got a good way with the words. You know, objectively speaking, I have, you know, a professional respect for him. But this comment right here pretty much takes things to an extreme level of comparison. Okay, we're talking about a game here. We're talking about pixels. We're talking about, you know, things that are non-existent, that does not impact real life in the grand scheme of things. This comment right here. I don't have time to wait for my family to die so I can gain their inheritance, so killing them is permissible. Who cares about morals? I don't want to wait, period. Watching hackers try and justify their hacking is one hell of a drug. Keep being an edgy rebel and fight the system or whatever. Okay, that, my friend, was not a really smart thing to say, to be honest with you, because you are pretty much you're going as far as to comparing death with Pokemon, like with hacking and cheating, whether it be legal or illegal. You are not only bringing that sort of thing to a very extreme level, but you are actually dumbing down the severity of murder to cheating. And I'm not so sure if that's really a good approach. Now, I can understand that, you know, if you wanted to take a approach to say, like, you know, I took steroids all this time to win competitions. You know, yeah, that's not okay. I mean, you know, you take a look at the whole Lance Armstrong incident. I mean, I don't even want to rehash on that. I mean, he got stripped of all his titles and all that stuff. But to go as far as to compare hacking to murder, I'm sorry, man. That is honestly disgusting. It's disgusting. Objectively speaking or not. That's anyone with a good mindset would see that this comment right here is pretty over the top. And what's even scary is that there's people that thumbs up and agree with this comment. And I mean, like, it's scary because this goes back to when I first heard about, say, Smogon, through Verlisify, when he made that video. I made a comment, and it was so idiotic. It was a very, very nasty comment about Smogon. I didn't even know two things about Smogon. The only thing I knew about Smogon from what Verlisify's video was that, Smogon is nothing more than an evil group that bans everything, and they will go after people and yell at them, even in VGC tournaments that don't play by Smogon rules. That was the impression I got, and I made a video about it, or not a video, sorry, a comment about it, and that wasn't even the scariest part. Even more scary part was the fact that I had like 25, 30 people liking it. I'm just like, and I'm looking back, I'm like, are you serious? You mean to tell me that there's like all that people that agree with my nonsense and my ignorance? That's scary. And that's the kind of stuff that makes and breaks communities, is sheer ignorance, sheer hostility, and all that stuff. And you see, that's the kind of stuff that, I'm trying so hard and doing a good job so far for our community to avoid. Yes, I am aware of the fact that because I am mentioning this individual and, talking a little bit real quick about, this incident in this video, it could potentially stir up some controversy and some conflict. But here's the thing. We all stick to our guns. We all stick together. Then, like, no matter what, we can overcome. But this right here is something that we need to address. This right here is something that we need to nip real hard in the butt. We need to say enough is enough. We need to say, we got our opinions, you got yours, let's let sleeping dogs lie. You're free to express your opinion, but something that you shouldn't be able to do without any sort of consequence would be to go around trashing communities and trashing people the way that they want to play or the way that they do things. I mean, going after a 3-time world champion and labeling him as a cheater, by definition, oh my god, I can't even talk. I apologize for that. By definition of cheater, to gain an unfair advantage over an opponent in a game. So, what is so advantageous about having a Dream Ball Aegislash that has legal stats and legal everything else about it? What's so advantageous about it? Nothing. Other than aesthetics, that's it. So are you trying to tell me that he cheated to win? Technically speaking, he did not cheat to win. Sure, he brought in a questionable Pokemon that looked like it was hacked, but by his own admission, he bred from that hacked Pokemon, so therefore, by technicality, it had legal stats and legal EVs and everything, other than the Dream Ball that was passed down. You can't just label someone a cheater like that, and you certainly can't, go on and attack people like this. And I mean, if we're going to be talking about attacking people, this is the part that, made me kind of burn up a little bit. While there's no kind of about it, I was burning up. I'm just like, oh man, like, there was a part of me that wanted to just come out and let the demon loose, but I'm just like, nope, no. Keep things professional, keep things fair, balanced, to the point, that's it. I made a promise, I'm sticking to it. The thing of it is, he took to Twitter, and PokeGameMD, Joey, you guys may be familiar with him, he's one of the best Poketubers there is, objectively and subjectively speaking. He made a tweet about hacking and about, as I can't remember exactly how the tweet went, but what I'll do, actually, is I'll link you guys to a few videos that actually touch base with this entire incident as a whole. And one video from Sheer Force actually touches base with the whole PokeGameMD incident where he tweeted, and it made sense what he tweeted, and then Verlisify replies or retweets or whatever with, and I quote, I said I wasn't going to swear, but this is what he said, and I quote, fucking disgusting. So he's basically referring to him as a disgusting human being with no morals because in his response, aside from fucking disgusting, he was making tweets saying that, he has no morals and he's ignorant and all that stuff, and it's just like, are you serious? Over a kid's game. over pixels. Yes, I understand that you are making a living off of Pokemon and all that stuff, and you're very passionate about it. But see, the way that you're reacting is actually the way that I used to be way back a few years ago when I was a part of the bodybuilding community. I still am a part of the bodybuilding community, but I was very, very much against people who use steroids, and I was trash talking, I was bashing people down. And looking back, I was just like, man, I was one idiot. I was one big idiot for that. I was stupid because it's like, okay, people use steroids, and obviously they would get hammered if they were caught doing that in a drug-tested uh, competition. But there are non-drug competitions and there are drug-tested competitions. Like, there are people that go into non-drug tested competitions blown up on steroids, and that's their choice. They're not hurting anyone else other than their own bodies. Sure, it might cheat someone else out of a victory between the difference of 1 inch biceps or 1 inch quads, and they could go from first place to second place. The point I'm trying to say is that what you think is absolutely inexcusable, what you think is absolutely unforgivable, and in this case, a rising tide here, going as far as to comparing hacking, whether it be legal or illegal, in a game, I might remind you, to killing people. That's going too far. I'm sorry. Like, this is me being objective too. This is too much, and this is the kind of stuff that the Pokemon community has to stand up and squash. You know what I mean? Squash it. Now, I know that, given the fact that I'm still fairly new here, it'd be one heck of an uphill battle if I was to take this on by myself. But I think collectively, as a community, if we see these sort of issues, this is the kind of stuff that we need to nip in the butt. This is the kind of stuff that we need to stand up and say, enough's enough, okay? We get different opinions and all that stuff, but when you go as far as to defame and bash down either communities, people, or even as far as to bash a company, the very company that you make a living off their products, that's going too far. And it's more than justified why there are a lot of people that dislike this video and why 500 people unsubscribed from you and left you. I mean, it's sad. I mean, but for you, you probably don't care because it's like, well, hey, I got, over 170,000 people, 500 people, screw that, You probably don't care, but, I would. I would certainly care if one person unsubscribed from me. I would feel bad. It's like, my God, I can't believe it. I just lost a friend. Because that's the way I look at all of the people subscribed to me, is they're my friends. They're not just another viewer. They're not just another subscriber. They're my friends. And, it's sad. It's sad that the Pokemon community, at least as far as this goes, has this kind of attitude, has this kind of hostility. And it's time that we gotta stand up and do something about it. And, it goes back to the whole bit of the Pokemon community is very split right down the middle about what they think about cheating, whether it's good or bad, evil, whatever. But it's people like this that have a lot of power in comparison to, your average Joe that might not even have a YouTube account. It's people like that, spread this kind of message around that, it influences people, and it gets them to think in that mindset, and that's not okay, because it's like, you're doing exactly what he's telling you to do. You're acting the way that he's acting. And that's the kind of stuff that, that you say that you don't want to have. That being toxicity, that being hostility, all that stuff. But you're creating all that stuff with videos like this. You know what I mean? And, that's the kind of stuff that is going to lose you, good people and all that. I mean, is it really worth having an extra few thousand views, to create controversy, have a little more money? Is it worth it? In the grand scheme of things, I don't think so. It isn't. It's not worth it. And, people like me, I'm going to stick to my guns. I'm going to stick to my beliefs, and I'm going to keep doing the best I can to make the community a better and safer place for everybody, even if it takes me years. I'm going to keep sticking to it, and I'm going to keep sticking to my guns, keep sticking to my promises to all of you guys, because you guys are what make up the community. You guys are what make up me. You guys are what make up, my happiness on here. And to see things like this go on, making people unhappy, making people hostile, it makes me sad and it breaks my heart. So it's time we stand up and we do something about this. You know what I mean? So I'm not going to spend any more time on this part here. So with that being said, that's where all this ends. But I got one more part, and that's going to be a very brief face-to-face with me just to kind of go over, in summary, what we talked about, and then that's it. So if you guys stuck with me this far, thank you very much. Thank you. Well, that's pretty much the end of the video. I want to severely apologize for it being a lot longer than I expected. I mean, oh my god, like, when I said that I was going to be covering all angles, or at least as many angles as I could in this video, I didn't think that it would be so in-depth and that there'd be so much to talk about in cheating. I mean, I've done cheating videos before, and they were nowhere near as long, but that's because, then again, I was only focusing on one thing, whereas this video has, well, technically speaking, 4 parts, because this is the 4th part here. So, for those of you guys that stuck through it, you guys are so amazing. And let me know, for those that stuck through it, that right there is an amazing feat that I applaud you for. Thank you very much. But to sum everything up, first part, I was pretty much just going over, unbiased, I might add, my thoughts on the whole cheating thing, and the good and the bad things about it, and also, what can be deemed legal and illegal. I'm not sure if I had mentioned this, but there are people that the reason why they would use things like Power Save and PK Hex, like pretty much to generate any Pokemon that they want to have on their team. Say if Pokemon Showdown wasn't a thing, where you can just right then and there put together a team and test it out to the best of your abilities and knowledge. If that didn't happen, it's like, okay, well then, it'd be definitely more acceptable, for lack of a better word, to generate a team of Pokemon and, battle it out on Wi-Fi and to test your team. And like I said, as long as your team is within legal parameters, like nothing about it is illegal, then there wouldn't be really any problem. Yes, I also am aware of the amount of frustrations that people can have, spending thousands upon thousands of hours to work hard and breed and EV train each of your Pokemon, and then you got another person that can easily just take the equivalent of all your hard work, and at their fingertips within 20-30 minutes, they have pretty much the equivalent of your hard work. So pretty much, it would be a big slap in the face, and I can understand that for sure. I definitely think that it should be tolerated to some extent. What I mean by that is, one, you can't hack your Pokemon in any way, shape, and form in which they would have illegal moves. Like, it's impossible to have a flamethrower on Caterpie or something like that. That would be impossible. It would be hacked. You can't have a Wonder Guard, Spiritomb, or Sableye. You can't have 999s in all your stats. You can't have 252 EVs in all your stats. All of it would be legally impossible. It wouldn't happen. So pretty much just talked a little bit about that, and then the second part, I touched base on the whole Ray Rizzo incident and just gave my unfiltered and balanced thoughts about it. Kind of dove a little bit deep into the topic and spent quite the amount of time talking about it. And then the third one was the iffy part. It was me touching base on the whole incident with Verlisify and Ray Rizzo, and just kind of talking about that and a few other things. I kind of went off topic a little bit there, but rightfully so, because I was talking about how that video that he made had definitely stirred up a lot of controversy, and it lost him quite the amount of subscribers. It lost him quite the amount of people, from watching. It's like, you got to take better care of your subscribers. I mean, it doesn't matter how big or how small you are. It's like, these people that are subscribed to your channel are eventually the kind of people that will allow you opportunities such as partnerships, such as, you know, sponsors, getting paid to make content. I mean, that's pretty much every gamer's dream, you know? And the thing of it is like, you know, once you have that dream, it's like you can't just turn your back on everyone and say, you know, oh, F these guys, you know, oh, you guys are nothing but numbers to me. It's like, come on, man. I mean, it's like I said before, you know, about the whole bit about me being a servant to you guys. I know that wasn't exactly the best words to use, because one, it'd be misunderstood, and two, it would be very belittling of me to say that about myself to you guys. But basically, to put into perspective as to how much you guys mean to me, it's like I I owe you guys the world, because you guys gift me with nothing but things that money can't buy. Okay, I don't care if someone offered me $1 million tomorrow. I mean, sure, that'd be a lot of money to pass up, but I mean, I'd be out of debt in every way, shape, and form. But if it meant sacrificing all my friends, if it meant sacrificing everything about this and everything about you guys, I would say no. Hell no. So, yeah, there was the third part, and then the fourth part, pretty much just me summing everything up. So, I got nothing more to say. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Well, we can say it's a movie. It's a movie, because it's well over an hour, almost an hour and a half, actually. So, this is, without a doubt, actually, I think this is the longest video that I've ever done for you guys. The longest video. So, if you guys enjoyed it, then please slap a like on it. This took me all day to make, and on top of that, it took me quite the few hours to do my last bit of research to make sure that, you know, I made sure that everything was as fair and balanced and as accurate as possible. I know, again, for the whole Ray Rizzo thing, I don't have 100% of the details, but I'm pretty sure that article covered pretty much everything that is on a need-to-know basis. And, you know, I did my best to cover everything, every angle, everything that I talked about. So like I said, you know, if you enjoyed this, then please slap a like on it. And also, if there was something that I said that either I misquoted or misspoke on or, you know, got wrong, please let me know, and I can annotate it or make a follow-up video or whatever. Just please, whatever you do, don't be rude. I'm always open to criticisms. I'm always open to, you know, telling, for me, you know, for telling people, you know, hey, like, you know, I was wrong about something, like, you know, help me out, like, what did I do wrong here, and I'll do my best to fix it. You know, I want you guys to tell me if I'm ever wrong on anything, and I'll do my best to fix it. You know what I mean? You know, because that's the kind of person I am. You got to own up to your responsibilities, and part of being a responsible YouTuber is to admit to whenever you're wrong. You know what I mean? Sure, you can defend yourself, but, you know, if you are objectively wrong, then come on, you got to step up. You know what I mean? So thank you guys very much for watching, and share this video. Share this video. You know, if you guys want a good watch, if you guys want something to listen to while you're reading or studying or something like that, well, here you go. So thank you guys for watching. Be sure to rate, comment, share this video, share this channel, and subscribe to Mega Crash from the community, because you already know the deal by now, my friends. When we are a community tightly packed, tightly knit as one, it doesn't matter what season, what time of day, or what weather. We always shine brighter than the sun. So thank you guys very much for watching this video. I love you all, and I'll see you guys next upload.